Hi there, and good afternoon. I'm John.
I'm Zen. And I'm Julie.
We're with C Nation, and you are tuned in to the 50 Days of Cannabis podcast, where we examine the cannabis laws in each of the 50 states.
Oh, hold on, John. You missed one.
I did. The District of Columbia is also included in this. We just thought 50 days sounded a little better than 51. Today we're looking at the cannabis laws in Illinois. The Prairie State, due to some cannabis reforms and a medical marijuana program, has become a better place to live and a better place to visit than it was just a few years ago. While far from the worst, it's also a long way from the top, with most cannabis-related offenses, unfortunately, charged at the felony level. Zen, tell us about possession in Illinois.
Possession of 10 grams or less is a civil violation. Give you a $200 fine and no jail time.
Not bad. I like that.
Right. More than 10 grams but less than 30 grams on your first time offense is a misdemeanor. You'll get a year and a $2,500 fine. Your second offense or any larger amounts, they're all felonies with 1 to 30 years.
What?
1 to 4 being mandatory minimums.
Jeez.
And those all come with $25,000 fine.
It doesn't sound like they reformed very much, did they?
Mm-hmm.
But they
Under
did,
10
actually.
grams.
Yeah.
And they're medical. Patients in Illinois can possess up to 2.5 ounces of cannabis in any given 2-week period.
Wow. So that's like, what,
decent,
5.4 ounces of...
Yeah, if you go on every 2 weeks, that there's 26 of those 2-week periods in a calendar year. It's like 5.41. I don't know. We had it down to the 10th of a gram or something crazy like that. But it's
now,
pretty
they can
generous.
grow it at home.
Okay.
That's lame.
Yeah, but
So
they
a lot of these
they
patients...
do have dispensaries that opened in November of 15.
Okay, but they still don't... a lot of these patients can't leave their home.
True.
And they should be able to, grow it at home, but at least they have dispensaries.
Yep.
And caregivers that can go pick it up for them. You can designate, but still, I agree with you 100%. Why travel when you can grow your own? That's a little bit of a kick in the shins, I guess, to medical patients, to at least some of them. So one thing I want to talk about, actually two things probably, in this medical program, as we were researching this for the podcast, we got looking at their qualifying conditions, and let me tell you what, 37 different qualifying conditions, all the ones you'd expect, Alzheimer's and AIDS and ALS and fibro and Crohn's and things like that. But man, there's a huge list, including, traumatic brain injury and post-concussion syndrome. That's a wide range that, a neurologist, through some various tests and whatnot, a lot of people might really fit under that. And they changed their program just a little bit in June of 16. It used to be a specific physician recommendation for cannabis. And now they don't have to do that. It still has to be, let me rephrase that. Prospective medical patients in Illinois still need to see a physician. But the only thing that the physician needs to tell the state is that there is a bona fide relationship with the doctor between the patient, and that patient qualifies for various medical cannabis products, etc. That is very generous. Yeah. A lot of states, they want you need that specific recommendation from the doctor. And I really like, actually, that the only thing that a medical professional has to tell the state is, look, I have a bona fide relationship. This is my patient. I've known them for years. That's all that matters. All the rest is HIPAA. All the rest is private medical information. And it's so crazy in this cannabis world. We trust that doctor-patient relationship and confidentiality in every walk of life, but this one.
Yep.
I'm glad to see Illinois change that law. But there's only 21,800 medical patients in Illinois. And it seems strange with the
number of qualifying conditions.
37 conditions, a little bit of a relaxed requirement with a doctor. Now, granted, it's been on the book since 2013. I think it's really gotten underway in 2015. So we're a couple of years in, but 21,800, man, We saw, I don't know where it was, Connecticut or something. They had like 95,000 patients. Anyway, these are just some observations, but I want to give Illinois props for all this. Get more dispensaries, though. Get home cultivation. And let's see if we can get those numbers up. Jules, tell us about them growers and sellers.
So the unlicensed
right.
seller distribution of 2.5 grams or less, that's a misdemeanor. That will give you up to 6 months in jail and a maximum fine of $1,500. Boo. The sale or distribution, unlicensed, let's make sure we say that, of more than 2.5 grams but less than 10 grams is also a misdemeanor. That will give you 1 year in jail and a maximum fine of $2,500. The unlicensed sale or distribution of any amount greater of 10 grams is a felony. That'll give you 1 to 60 years in prison with mandatory sentencing ranging 1 to 6 years. And maximum fines range between $25,000 to $200,000.
Holy cow.
Right? Talk about those growers. The cultivation of 5 or less plants is a misdemeanor. That will give you 1 year in jail and a fine of $2,500. Cultivating any number of plants is greater than 5 is a felony. That will give you 1 to 30 years in prison with mandatory sentencing ranging between 1 to 4 years and maximum financial penalties ranging between $25,000 to $100,000.
Yikes.
Yeah, so you don't want to be unlicensed if you're going to be starting to do this, because it's not fun.
Right. One thing that I find interesting in that, now states that have decriminalized, states that have made certain amounts really just a civil fraction, and states that have, you know, medical laws on their books or even adult use laws, they usually allow for that exchange, that free exchange of cannabis. But it sounds like if you're doing any of that, sale or distribution, even in those legal amounts, 10 grams or less, they still want to hang at least a misdemeanor on you. And we've seen other states just bypass that. If you're freely exchanging those small amounts that are a civil infraction, then there's no real criminal association with that. I'd like to see Illinois work on that a little bit. It seems a little bit unfair.
Yeah. So this is where we get real serious, right?
Yeah, it is. And, you know, Illinois, this is the first state that we've seen this regarding school zones. Most states are really sensible about this, and the best laws that we've seen throughout our research on all these podcasts we've done have been the ones that are just kind of zero tolerance. We don't care how much, if it's sale, if it's intent to sell, if it's distribution, if it's cultivation, we really don't care. A gram or a pound, it's a felony, it's a new charge, it's serious. Well, Illinois has really complicated this, in my opinion. So on their school grounds, they've got like 6 different potential charges that range from a Class A misdemeanor, which is a $2,500 fine and less than a year in jail, all the way to their top felony charge, which is a $200,000 fine, a mandatory prison term of at least 4 years, ranging up to 30 years. Wow. And all of this is based on weight. 2.5 grams a misdemeanor, 2.5 to 10 grams a felony, 10 to 30 grams a felony, 30 to 500 grams. 500 is more than a pound, by the way. On a school ground?
Yeah.
Come on.
More than 500, less than 2,000?
Yeah, honestly, it's really kind of crazy.
Well, this is the first state that I've actually seen that you can have 2.5 grams and it's just a misdemeanor. True. I usually see any amount is a felony. Indeed. So this is the first state that I've seen that's turned into a misdemeanor. Yeah,
so, I mean...
I'm not saying it's okay.
It is what it is, and I'm torn on this. I mean, I like to see... Well, I wouldn't like to see any charges for cannabis possession, etc. That's a conversation for another day. But, you know, since there are laws on the books that are going to criminally charge people in the cannabis culture, I do at least like to see scaled charges, you know, that there's definitely a difference between, you know, the guy that's just selling grams or, you know, quarters or eighths or whatever to his buddies versus the kingpin, you know, criminal cartel organization
That's
type.
selling pounds.
Yeah, right. And those people should be charged differently because there are laws on the books. But I'm not so sure that school zone infractions really deserve this type of scaled charges, but
30 years seems a
Yeah,
little excessive.
Pretty steep.
I'm undecided on it, but I will tell you it doesn't include possession. It is really straight the transfer of cannabis, the sale or distribution of cannabis. This is not possession, which is cool. But like I said, I'm a little undecided on how I feel about this, but they've made it super complicated when really they don't need to. For a more comprehensive look at the cannabis laws in Illinois, please visit us at cnation.com and click on the state-by-state link.
Remember, you have rights if you're arrested for any cannabis-related reasons. You have the constitutional right to remain silent until your attorney is present. If you don't have an attorney, better ask for one.
Holla!
This is
And Julie.
And John.
We're with C Nation, bringing you a snapshot of the cannabis laws in Illinois. Be safe.
Stay informed!
Yeah, what they said. The 50 Days of Cannabis podcast is a copyrighted production of the South American Gold Corporation.
We appreciate your likes and shares on social media.
Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at C Nation Channel.